Hello, hello.
Picture example of what that stitch actually looks like. That way you can tie a picture with a name and have a very cohesive example of what you're learning. I'm only going to go over basic stitches such as chains, slip stitches, single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet. All stitches that a beginner crocheter will encounter in a beginning crochet pattern. My goal is by the end of this video, you will be able to search for a beginner based pattern that you want to make and be able to read the written instructions if that's the form it comes in, or be able to read the diagram shown, the picture shown, if that is how they choose to show you how to make the pattern. Sound good? All right, let's go ahead and dive right into our very first stitch. The very first stitch we're going to go over is the chain. This is how it is spelled. This is the abbreviation. Here is the symbol for chain. And this is what a chain looks like.
Circle inside a circle, circle inside a circle, inside a circle, inside a circle, inside a circle, inside a circle.
Okay, each one of these V shapes is one chain. So here I would have 4 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next we have the slip stitch. Here is the abbreviation. Here is the symbol for a slip stitch. And then here is what a slip stitch actually looks like. You will enter your crochet hook into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, and pull that yarn through the first loop on your crochet hook, and that is a slip stitch. Next we have the single crochet stitch. Here is the abbreviation for single crochet. Here is the symbol for a single crochet. And this is what a single crochet stitch actually looks like. You insert your crochet hook into the stitch, yarn over, pull through. You'll have 2 loops on your crochet hook, yarn over, pull through both loops, and that is one single crochet. Next we have the half double crochet. Here's the abbreviation for a half double crochet. Here is the symbol for a half double crochet. And here's what a half double crochet actually looks like. Going into the second chain from your crochet hook. So 1, 2, yarning over, insert your crochet hook, yarn over, pull through. Got 3 loops on your crochet hook, yarn over, pull through all 3, yarn over, insert your crochet hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3, the last stitch we're going to go over in this video is a double crochet stitch. Here is the abbreviation for a double crochet. Here is the symbol for a double crochet. And here is what a double crochet actually looks like. In the second chain from your crochet hook, you're going to yarn over, insert your crochet hook into that chain, yarn over, pull through. You'll have 3 loops on your crochet hook, yarn over, pull through only the first 2. You'll have 2 loops left on your hook, yarn over, pull through the last 2. That is a double crochet.
Most people have no clue that in 2024, the best way to make money with Amazon is not by selling physical products. It's Amazon's other company, Audible. Audible has been paying me a steady and reliable income every month for years. And I'm not the only one. People like Katrina, Carmen, Elena, and Renee are all enjoying a significant monthly income using the same system.
This past month, I reached $8,000 in revenue, and I'm on track to reach $10,000 in revenue this month.
I've been able to go from 0 to 22K in 7 months. And of course, this completely changed my life.
I do this on a part-time basis, about 5 to 10 hours a week. I earn about $40,000 a year. There's no other job that pays with that little time.
And the best part is, it's a highly automated system. You're not buying any inventory.
Nikki just love those commercials. Nikki just love those commercials.
All right, guys, let's actually put what we've learned into practice. Here you will see a pattern, both in written form and in diagram form. Both of these patterns are the same exact pattern, just they look different. If you see the written instructions, it gives you a little more information, such as chain a multiple of 2 stitches plus 1. So what that means is, in order for this pattern to work, the number of chains in your foundation row needs to be in a multiple of 2 plus 1. So if you're making a scarf, if you're making a blanket, if you're making a washcloth, you have an idea of how many stitches you're going to need to begin that project. In the diagram pattern, you will see a red dot. That red dot is our starting spot. That red dot means this is where you start. Next to the red dot, you see open ovals. Those open ovals are the symbol for chain. You will see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chains. We do know that 7 is in a multiple of 2 plus 1, because 7 minus 1 is 6. 6 is evenly divisible by 2. So we know 7 works. So in this example, I'm going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. When you are ready for row 1, in the written instructions, it says turn your work. So we turn, so our crochet hook is on top of our chain row, ready to work. It says chain 2. So I'll chain 1, 2. It wants me to put a double crochet in that first chain that was in our foundation row. So I just made those 2 chains to turn onto our foundation row. I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to insert my crochet hook in that 3rd chain from the hook, which would have been my first stitch on my foundation row. I have 3 loops on my hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Next it says to skip the next chain and chain 1. Okay. Then it wants me to double crochet in the next space. Double crochet, skip 1, chain 1, double crochet, skip 1, chain 1, 1 double crochet in the last space. Perfect. Okay, now let's look at our diagram. In our diagram, it shows a 1 with an over arrow. That arrow indicates what direction we are going in our work. 1 recommends row 1. It shows 2 blank ovals to begin, which is our first chain 2 that we did. Then it has the symbol for a double crochet in the very first chain of that foundation row, or you could identify that as the 3rd chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3. Then it shows the chain 1, and then there's nothing in that space. So there's your skip 1. Next space shows a double crochet. Then a chain 1. It's a blank space right next to it. So that's a skip 1. And then a double crochet. What I like about the diagram is it really keeps you in line of knowing where you're putting what stitch. It really helps. Okay, so now when we are ready for row 2, let's go to the written instructions. It says turning our work. So we turn our work. It says chain 2. So I'll chain 2, 1, 2, and then double crochet in double crochet. So going to put a double crochet on top of the last double crochet. Then it says skip 1, chain 1, and repeat. Double crochet on top of double crochet. Skip 1, chain 1, double crochet on top of double crochet. Skip 1, chain 1, and 1 double crochet in the last space. Great. Okay, now let's look at our diagram. Row 2 with the over arrow indicating we're going the opposite direction now. Says to chain 2 to begin with, which is what we did. We chained 2. It shows us the double crochet symbol right on top of the last double crochet symbol, so you know exactly where to put that stitch. Then it shows the chain 1 and nothing in that other chain 1, so that's a skip 1. And a repeat, double crochet on top of double crochet, skip 1, chain 1, on top of skip 1, chain 1, all the way across. Okay, let's look at the written instructions, and next it says repeat row 2. So we know for the rest of this pattern, we are just going to repeat row 2. When we look at our diagram, the third row shows another number 2 with an arrow pointing the direction that we will be going. The reason why it repeats the number 2 is because it wants you to repeat what you did in row 2. And then again, it shows a chain 2. It shows double crochet on top of double crochet. And then it shows chain 1, skip 1, and then double crochet on top of double crochet. So that is one example of what the pattern would look like in both written form and in diagram form. Let's check out one more. In this example, we're going to do the crumpled griddle stitch. If you look at the written instructions, it says it wants a chain in a multiple of 2 stitches plus 1. So that helps us to identify how many stitches need to be in our foundation row for our project. If you look at the diagram, we see the red dot, and the red dot indicates where we start. Next to the red dot, we see our open ovals, which is the symbol for chain. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chains in our example. So let me make 7 chains for our example. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In our written instructions, it says row 1, turn. So I'll turn my hook so I'm now facing the work. It says chain 1. So I will chain 1, and then it says single crochet and then double crochet across. So in that first space, I will single crochet. Next space, I will double crochet. Next space is a single crochet and then double crochet. Single crochet, double crochet, and ending with a single crochet. All right, now let's look at the diagram for this stitch. We see the red dot where we start. We see all of the open ovals, the 7 open ovals, which indicate the foundation row. We see number 1 with an over arrow, which indicates where row 1 is and what direction we are going. It starts with an open oval. It starts with a chain, which would be our turning chain to get onto row 1. Then it shows the plus sign, which is a symbol for a single crochet, and it shows where to put that single crochet. So you would see that there are 2 chains there. You'd be putting the very first single crochet in the second chain. Next stitch is a double crochet, and it shows you exactly where you're going to put it in the next chain. Next stitch is a single crochet in the next chain, then double crochet, then single, then double, and single. Again, the diagram is very, very helpful in identifying where you're actually putting that stitch. Make sense? Okay, row 2, let's go to the written instructions. It says to turn our work. It says to chain 1, so we will chain 1. Then it says single crochet in the single crochet and double crochet in the double crochet. Okay, so that was a single crochet, so I'm going to put a single crochet on top of single crochet and a double crochet on top of double crochet. If we look at our diagram, we will see the number 2. We will see the over arrow, and that indicates row 2. It indicates which direction we are going. You will see how it starts with an open oval, which is our first chain, our chain 1, to get to the second row. And then you will see how they have a plus sign over the plus sign, which is a symbol for single crochet over a single crochet. And then the double crochet symbol is right over the other double crochet symbol. So you see what the symbols are, you see where the stitches would go. It is just very easy to follow. So you will know, oh, next stitch is a single crochet, it goes right onto the last single crochet. Next stitch is a double crochet, it goes right on top of the last double crochet. And you're going to end with a single crochet. Perfect. Okay, let's go to row 3. What's next? Well, in the written instructions, it just says repeat row 2. Okay, let's go to our diagram. In the diagram, the next row shows another number 2 with an over arrow, which again indicates you're just going to repeat what was instructed in row 2, but you're going to go in this direction now. And then it shows the pictures. Chaining 1, turning our work, single crochet on top of single crochet, and double crochet on top of double crochet, and so forth across the work. All right, guys, those are 5 basic crochet stitches that you will encounter in reading a basic beginner crochet pattern. I really hope this video helps at least get you started or aid you in the process of reading crochet patterns. And of course, if you have any questions at all, feel free to comment below, or you can contact me via my email or any of my social media contacts, which are all located in the notes section below this video. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please push the thumbs up button. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to my
Thank you. And take another one. And take another one. You know, it's not very helpful when you guys. It's not very helpful when you guys just chat with you guys. I'll figure it out. I promise. I'll figure it out. I promise. What should we do, guys? What should we do, guys? What should we do? We should three. I picked some for us to use, observe and learn from. Okay. Well, these are cute. So I'll see both of them.
To understand that they were detained.
man.
$88,000. No inflation.
This is war. Pick your sides, know your stance.
On Dr. Cholakian.
I can't do politics. I can't do politics. That's it. That's Georgian fall. Georgian fall. Come on, people. You be jobless and frivolous. Jobless and frivolous. Jesus. Get on your move. Pray. Get on your move.
Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Tiffany. In this video, I'm going to show you the tutorial on how to make the shawl I've been teasing you with for the last few weeks. The yarn that I selected was amazing. I knew by looking at it in its skein that it was going to make something gorgeous, and it did. Oh my gosh. This is my very first shawl, and surprise, surprise, the name of the pattern is My First Shawl. But it turned out exactly as I hoped it would. Oh my gosh, it is stunning and so comfortable. Now that I'm doing the tutorial, I can finally use it and just cuddle up with it on the couch. I'm so excited. So the yarn that I used, I think that yarn can really make or break a project. But the yarn that I used was Red Heart Roll With It. I'm not generally a Red Heart fan, but Red Heart has come out with some pretty impressive yarns that have really caught my eye. The color that I used here was
Sometimes you have to give a quality for color.
Roll With It in Showtime. So that is what this skein of yarn is. The one that I'm going to show you the tutorial with, how to follow the steps to make this gorgeous shawl, that is Roll With It in Theater. So this will be fun. Anyways, you might notice that I'm talking a little softer. I'm actually shooting this video in the evening while I have the kids in bed. I've been learning how to juggle, how to work with having the kids full time. So it's the evening, we're going to be quiet, but it's all going to be great. Let's go ahead and head right to how to make this. Alright, the material that you're going to be using are 3 skeins of yarn. I have 389 yards of yarn per skein. You can get away with just using 1 skein of yarn and making a really short shawl. That's totally fine. Or you can use more than 3 skeins and make a really large shawl. This is totally personal preference. I just really liked the length with the 3 skeins. I'm also using a color for the fringe. This is Simply Soft in Red Autumn. The shawl that I showed you in the example, the fringe was made from Harvest Maize, also Simply Soft. Alright, you will also need a pair of scissors. You'll need a size I or 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. Fabric glue that dries clear and flexible. That way when it dries, it's invisible and not leaving a rock hard spot in the work. That's no good. We use this when we tie in our ends. That way the ends stay put and don't come out. You're also going to need either a tape measure or a ruler for when we're cutting our fringe, so you can get the length of the strings exactly the same size.
Awesome. Thank you. How'd I look?
The key to being rich is knowing what counts.
All right, to begin, we're going to make our slip knot. Okay, we're going to chain 4. That has a very crochet baby blanket. I found this pattern off of Pattern Paradise, crocheted by Maria. Maria is a crochet pattern creator and she is very talented. She makes gorgeous patterns on her website. She actually has a couple different baby blanket patterns that I've already identified. I can't wait to crochet with you. I just want to support Maria, bring her up, bring traffic to her website, really show her some love because she is a very talented woman, and just want to make sure more and more people know who she is and what she has to offer. This pattern she created, she calls the Essentials Baby Blanket. I added onto the name and call it the Essentials Baby Blanket Sleepy Baby just because I use a different color palette that has a very calming color palette for Sleepy Baby. I've actually made this blanket 3 different times. The first one was a baby gift that I made for a friend. Here's a picture of it right here. Apparently Big Brother kept stealing the baby blanket, so I made Big Brother a blanket also in Paw Patrol colors. The firefighter Dalmatian one. What's his name? Help me out. So I have a picture of some of the color variations that I was thinking in my head how I could make the blanket. I forgot to take a picture of the actual blanket itself. That was my bad, but you get an idea of how my brain was working on how I wanted the blanket to look. So this is the 3rd time I've made this blanket. It's super easy, super fast. The pattern for this blanket, if you go right under this video, click the down arrow and open up my notes section, underneath patterns, I have a link to Maria's website that will take you directly to this pattern. So all you have to do is click the link, and if you scroll down, it will take you to the free version of the pattern. There is an option where you can purchase an ad-free version. So if you want to just have the pattern able to print out or look at that doesn't have any ads in it, you can purchase. Ladies and gentlemen, I knit for open work and helping hands and gifted hands I pretty much make everything for everything for open to other nonprofits that are personally affiliated with family shelters, domestic violence shelters. Any way that we can help, we greatly appreciate it. Unfortunately, YouTube does not allow us small channels to have a super chat channel. So what I will do is I will include this QR code here. Anything that you send there, you can title HFNY or gift for Mrs. Carol. If I ever see anybody donate anything, I will match it. Less than over $1,000 or something. After I match it, I will then make a video for you guys to see me getting her, and maybe even, of course, she's recuperating from cancer treatment, so I don't want to necessarily videotape that part, but if I can videotape any part of her happiness around the gift, even her holding the gift or something of the sort, then I'll be more than happy to produce that for you guys. Yeah. So I volunteer my time by knitting scarves and hats for Hope New York. Each scarf usually takes me anywhere from 7, I would say 7.5 to 9 hours, depending on the scarf material and my speed. Yeah, so we usually meet with her once a month to submit all of our. Now, Hope New York does give you yarn for you to produce the products. So it would be free of cost for me to produce, with the exception of time and the materials necessary for you to produce the products.
the product. But it's a really nice feeling knowing that you can actually help somebody. You can actually help somebody. They don't necessarily have to be there to see the person's expression on their face when they get my beautiful scarves, or anybody else's beautiful scarves that come in for that matter. But I know that if I die tomorrow, I could rest assured that we're all doing the best that we can. And I certainly anyway, I'm gonna let her go back. I feel like chatting or something now, unpausing now. You might want to hear some of the nonsense that I have to talk about. For either which way. I see you two here still on my live. Thank you for still being around. You're awesome. I will figure out the chat. As soon as I do, I know you guys will be like my number one fans. You'll be like my number one fans. Yay! I might figure it out tonight. Life is nothing but a learning lesson. I'm approaching 50. I'm not young tickling around the block. But you know, it does take an old dog. More time to learn new tricks. Another thing that I would like to apologize. Occasionally my accent will switch up. I don't know, depending on my mood, depending on what I'm trying to say. Emphasis, exaggeration, satire. All of those things can get communicated through the tone. Things that female will never be able to do. But anyway, without further ado, let me pause this beautiful lady's face. And by the way, even if I can't see the chat, I do believe you guys can leave a comment in the comment field, and I should be able to see that. I'll double check. I might even test it out myself. Anyway, without further ado.
Purchase that from her and just go right into it, or you can just print off the web page and print the free version of this pattern, but it will have little inserts of ads and gobbledygook in the website or on the page that will kind of get in the way, but we can get past that. Okay, it's free. If it's free, you can deal with some ads.
Free is always good.
Why did Amazon send me $20,000? Because I use Amazon AI.
Voila!
I'm going to show you a way to potentially make money by pairing Amazon with the power of AI without ever selling physical products. And I promise you've never heard about this before.
Why is Amazon paying me $63,000 a month? Well, I didn't make this kind of money selling yoga mats and toasters, and I damn sure wasn't talking my friends into buying vitamins and juices. I did it with a free app that's probably already on your phone, and that app is the Kindle app.
I just created some simple digital products, then I put them.
Gotcha. Her version of the pattern she specifies that her blanket is 36 inches by 36 inches. She is making a perfect square receiving blanket. Okay, I wanted to make a blanket bigger than that, so I am making a crib size blanket. So when I am explaining how to make these blankets, the foundation row, I will identify, okay, if you want to make the pattern that Maria has, the receiving blanket, you will chain this many. If you want to make the crib size blanket that I made that's bigger, you will start your foundation row chaining this many. If you want to make an even bigger blanket than this, maybe you want to make a blanket for yourself to cuddle up on the couch with, you can just check out the link that says charts or chart, and it will open up a list of different blankets and their dimensions. So all you have to do is start your foundation row with a measuring tape, and it'll say, for example, if you want to make a queen size blanket, it'll be a big one, but it'll say it needs to be this many inches wide. So you will chain until your chain foundation row has reached however many inches wide a queen blanket requires it to be. Make sense? If you have any questions about making a bigger blanket or reading that chart, just feel free to contact me at my contact information below in the notes section. I would love to help. Okay, other than that, let's go ahead and dive into the materials that you're going to need to make this blanket. All right, the materials that I used to make the crib size blanket, this blanket, I chose to use Lion Brand Mandala Sparkle in the color Orion. If you want to use the exact same yarn that I was using, I put in the note section below under materials a link to this exact yarn that you can purchase yarn from that link, or just look at the link and then purchase the yarn somewhere else. I don't mind, I don't really care. Just if you want to use what I'm using, that's just a helpful little thing that I provided for you. You can use really any yarn that you want for this pattern, as long as it's not textured. This was a size 3 yarn. I used 8 skeins of this, or a total of 2,624 yards of yarn, or 2,400 meters of yarn. Okay, so that gives you an idea of how much yarn I used of a size 3. If you use a size 4, or a size 2, or a size 5, you're going to use either more or less yarn than what I used, but it gives you just a rough idea. If you want, I have also included a chart in the notes section that gives you an idea of how much
What it is the thicker the yarn, the bigger the needle is going to have to be, because that needle is going to go around the yarn and make holes where it will be easy for the thickness of the material to slip through with your needle. If you have too thin of a string and a really thick needle, it's gonna your stitches are gonna be really loose. You'll never leave them, and you'll never have that snuggle feeling to them. So if that's what you're looking for, you have a nice needle with the size of your head. That's what that is.
yarn you will need to make a basic baby blanket or Afghan size blanket. And it has 2 charts. One chart will say a brand and how much yarn you will need, and the other chart will say the size of yarn, whether it's a 3, 4, 5, 2, and how much yarn you will need to make that blanket. Those are super helpful. I love those charts, and they just help give you direction. Just a reminder though that it's a rough estimate. You may need to buy 1 extra skein of yarn. Okay, so just use the crochet hook that you have recommended on your yarn label. The recommended crochet hook on this label was an H8 5mm crochet hook, and that's what I used. That's what I got here. You'll need a pair of scissors and possibly a measuring tape, depending on whether or not you want to alter the size of your blanket. Okay, and that's it. That's all you need for this blanket. Let's go ahead and dive right into how to make it. All right, guys, let's go ahead and start with our slip knot to get the yarn on our crochet hook. Great. Check that tension. Make sure it's nice and smooth on your crochet hook.
Yes.
Okay, if you want to follow along with Maria and make a receiving size blanket that is 36 inches by 36 inches, you're going to chain 75. Okay, 75 chains. If you want to crochet the crib size blanket, kind of like I did, you're going to start with chaining 141 chains. If you want to deviate and make your own size, you just have to make a blanket foundation row in increments of 2. So it has to be divisible by 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with our foundation row, either making 75 chains or 141 chains, or whichever deviation you want to make. 1,
Every Halloween, she copies me, but at Michael's, we can be different. You're terrifying.
No, you're terrifying.
No, it's definitely you.
You're the most terrifying.
But we look the same.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so I stopped at chain 30, which is...
I love seeing realistic women like this. Dominated and the nails does make it incredibly harder. I'm not talking about medium to average size nails. I'm talking about average size nails. I'm talking about 4 and those are ridiculous, especially for crocheting and knitting. You'll hardly never see that. I'm not going to say those are tramp stamp to each their own. Nails make it virtually almost impossible to knit or crochet. You know what else? I also volunteer for New York City Parks. I am a super stewardess and a team captain. My beautiful baby in life. Come on in. Hi, baby. It's being recorded, but not as kids. I learned how to put my just when I was waiting to see my ugly face on. I appreciate it. She's just sitting because she's my daughter. Occasional wash clothes. Occasional wash clothes. I love you, son. I love you always. I love you, son. I love you always. And you see me. Bring the pill. You guys. Girls. Ladies. Okay. Okay. Let's go back. Let's go back. I just want you to know. I just want you to know. I don't have any many years. I just want that to be known. On, off, sideways. Don't let these people or anybody tell you otherwise. Because you have people out here that are experts at making you or anybody else look like something that they're not. Something that they're not. If you ever had that problem, if you ever had somebody that pretends that they know you, or they need you, which may have been the case. Maybe some eons ago. People go apart, both mentally and physically. Let me know if you faced that challenge. How you dealt with it. I can't wait to get to this chat box. I can get to chatting with you guys and gals. We're going to be street for now, but it's okay. All streets start one way at first.
Still divisible by 2 or in increments of 2, so it'll work. I wanted to just make a small example swatch for you so you could see how to begin this blanket, how to work the pattern, and how to end this blanket all within this same video. So we're going to turn your crochet hook. This was the foundation chain. We're going to start with row 1. So with row 1, you're going to put 1 half double crochet in the 3rd chain from your hook. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. We are not including the loop that's already on our hook. You're going to yarn over, insert your crochet hook with 2 loops on the top, 1 loop on the bottom, right like there. So you got 2 on the top there, 1 on the bottom, yarn over, pull through. So now you have 3 loops on your crochet hook. Gonna yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. That is a half double crochet, okay? The 3 chains that we skipped, one would be our turning chain to get over, and the other 2 count as the very first half double crochet, okay? Just wanted to identify that this right here is going to be identified as half double crochet number 1. Okay, next space, you're going to put a half double crochet. So yarn over, insert your crochet hook.
Realize that it's always going to be a straight line. The only time it will become a circle is when you close the line from point A, the beginning, to the end, point B. Then you got a circle.
2 on the top, 1 on the bottom, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3. There's your next half double crochet. Row 1 of this blanket is just putting 1 half double crochet in each chain all the way to the end. Okay, so go ahead and finish row 1 and I will meet you at the end.
Yay!
Right, last space. 1 last half double crochet right there. Perfect. Okay, you're going to chain 1, going to turn our work. All right, you're going to put 1 half double crochet in the first space. So yarn over, insert our crochet hook right in the side there so that there's 2 loops on the top. Yarn over, pull through. Got the 3 loops on our crochet hook now. Yarn over, pull through all 3. Perfect. Okay, we're going to skip 1 space. So we're going to skip you, go straight into the next space. We're going to put 1 single crochet. So 1 single crochet. And then in that same spot, we're going to put a half double crochet. So yarn over, insert in that same spot, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3. Great. We're going to skip the next spot. In this spot, we're going to put a single crochet and a half double crochet in that same spot. All right, skip the next one, next space, single crochet and half double crochet, same spot. And that's going to be the repeating pattern, guys. So skip one, next one, single crochet, half double crochet, same spot. Skip one, next one, single crochet, half double crochet, same spot. Again, skip one, next one, single crochet, half double crochet, same spot. And that's the repeating pattern. Go ahead and keep working that all the way across to the end. So skip one, next one, single crochet, half double crochet in the same spot.
Introducing new Papermate Ink Joy Bright, a gel pen that even writes on black paper. Because my favorite color is every color, and my mood is always joy. Feel the joy of Ink Joy. Gel pens by Papermate.
Oh, life was always like a commercial. Life was always like a commercial.
All right, we get to this point where there's just one space left, guys. You just put one half double crochet in that space right there. The last space of the row gets one half double crochet. You chain one, you turn, and repeat that same pattern. So every time you turn a row, you're only going to chain one, okay? Only chain one. Then we turn our work. The very first space, the very first stitch will always be a half double crochet, only one half double crochet. That's it. Then you'll skip a space. The next space will be single crochet,
Well, you guys know I'm not
half double crochet in the same spot. Then skip a space. Next space will be single crochet, half double crochet, same spot. Skip one. Next one. Single crochet, half double crochet in the same spot. Skip one, next one, single crochet, half double crochet, same spot. And you just keep going, guys. Keep going. And then the very last space of your row will always be, the very last space will always be one half double crochet. So go ahead and finish this row 3 and I'll meet you at the end. Okay, last space is one half double crochet. Perfect. All right, guys. So that is the repeating pattern. Every row. Once you finish it, you will chain one, only one, turn your work. Okay, each row will begin the same way. One half double crochet in the first space, then skip one. Next one will be one single crochet and one half double crochet, and then skip one, next one, single, half double, and repeat that all the way across. Last space will always be one half double crochet, and that's it. That's the pattern, guys, for the entire work. If you are working the receiving blanket that Maria is explaining, you're going to repeat every row for the next 63 rows, okay? If you are making the crib size blanket, you will continue this process until you have reached 216 rows.
All right, guys, next. All right, guys, next.
Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Tiffany. In this video, I'm going to show you the tutorial on how to make the shawl I've been teasing you with for the last few weeks. The yarn that I selected was amazing. I knew by looking at it in its skein that it was going to make something gorgeous, and it did. Oh my gosh. This is my very first shawl, and surprise, surprise, the name of the pattern is My First Shawl. But it turned out exactly as I hoped it would. Oh my gosh, it is stunning and so comfortable. Now that I'm doing the tutorial, I can finally use it and just cuddle with it on the couch. I'm so excited. So the yarn that I used, I think that yarn can really make or break a project. But the yarn that I used was Red Heart Roll With It. I'm not generally a Red Heart fan, but Red Heart has come out with some pretty impressive yarns that have really caught my eye. The color that I used here was Roll With It in Showtime. So That is what this skein of yarn is. The one that I'm going to show you the tutorial with, how to follow the steps to make this gorgeous shawl, that is Roll With It in theater. So this will be fun. Anyways, you might notice that I'm talking a little softer. I'm actually shooting this video in the evening while I have the kids in bed. I've been learning how to juggle, how to work with having the kids full time. So
Yes, learning to work while having the kids full time is a juggle, and yes, it is exhausting. Women are just awesome. Men are awesome as well. It's just that I wouldn't be able to tell you the struggles because I'm not a man. But I can definitely tell you the struggles women go through. And yeah, that's definitely one of them.
it's the evening. We're going to be quiet, but it's all going to be great. Let's go ahead and head right to how to make this. All right, the material that you're going to be using are 3 skeins of yarn. I have 389 yards of yarn per skein. You can get away with just using 1 skein of yarn and making a really short shawl. That's totally fine. Or you can use more than 3 skeins and make a really large shawl. This is totally personal preference. I just really liked the length with the 3 skeins. I'm also using a color for the fringe. This is Simply Soft in Red Autumn. The shawl that I showed you in the example, the fringe was made from Harvest Maize, also Simply Soft. All right, you will also need a pair of scissors. You'll need a size I or 5.5 millimeter crochet hook, fabric glue that dries clear and flexible. That way when it dries, it's invisible and not leaving a rock hard spot in the work. That's no good. We use this when we tie in our ends. That way the ends stay put and don't come out. You're also going to need either a tape measure or a ruler for when we're cutting our fringe so you can get the length of the strings exactly the same size. All right, to begin, we're going to make our slip knot. Okay, we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slip stitch into that first space. So I will put 2 yarns on the top, 1 on the bottom, yarn over, pull through, all the way through. You're going to chain 2, 1, 2. Now you're going to put 5 double crochets inside that hole that we just created. Okay, so yarn over, insert our hook inside that hole, yarn over, pull through,
And then the words too hot.
pull through. Okay, 1 double crochet,
Mama made miracles every Thanksgiving.
2, 3, 4, 5, chain 2, 1, 2, and then 5 more double crochets inside that same hole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. Okay, chain 2. Turn your work so now it's facing this way and I'm facing my work ready to go. Going to double crochet in the back loop only of the first space. So yarn over, look at the top of your work where you see those V's. Going to insert your hook in the back loop, yarn over, pull through, and then double crochet. Going to go ahead and double crochet, 1 double crochet in the back loop only, all the way to this spot right here, right before the chain 2. So yarn over, back loop only, yarn over, back loop only, yarn over, back loop only.
So on my first row, first row is always the hardest to do because
Great. Okay, so inside this chain 2 spot, we're going to put a double crochet. Just stick your needle right in that hole. So double crochet. Now a treble crochet. So yarn over twice on your hook. Insert your hook, yarn over. So now you have 4 loops on your hook. Then yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. And yarn over, pull through 2. Perfect. Chain 2. Going to do another treble crochet. So yarn over twice, insert your hook, yarn over. There will be 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. Perfect. Now double crochet inside that hole. Yarn over. perfect. We are done with that corner spot. Now go ahead and double crochet in the back loops only of the next 1, 2, 3, 4. There's going to be 5. So 4 spots. So here we go. Yarn over, back loop, 1, yarn over, back loop, 2, yarn over, back loop, 3, yarn over, back loop, 4, but we know we put 5 in this section. Well, that 5th one is kind of hidden right there, okay? So you might have to separate your stitches a little bit to see, there it is. Also, it's a good idea to keep count. We knew that we put 5 here. I only have 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, so I know I have to have a 5th there. So yarn over, find that V. There we go. 1, you're going to put 2 double crochets in that 5th space though. 2, perfect. So here is what the pattern is going to continuously look like for the rest of this shawl. You're going to chain 2, turn, you're going to double crochet in the back loops only in each space all the way down until you get to that chain 2 spot. Okay, then on the other side you're going to double crochet in the back loop only all the way up until you hit that last one, and then you're going to put 2 double crochets in the last one. Okay, so let's do that together. Yarn over, back loop only, 1, back loop, 2, 3, 4.
This reno will absolutely be worth it.
It's in mint condition, totally worth it.
So, what do you think?
It's worth it.
Okay, let's see how we can do it.
There are trucks, then there's the truck, GMC Sierra. Available with the V8 engine.
5, 6, 7, and 8. Just following every stitch, the very top of it, back loop only is going to get another stitch. Okay, in the corner is going to be double crochet, triple crochet, 2 chains, double crochet, double crochet. So double, treble, chain 2, treble, and double. Okay, then just double crochet, back loop only, all the way over. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Put 2 in that last one. Pretty awesome. Chain 2. You just keep repeating this process. So the chain 2 counts as the first double crochet because each ending space gets 2 double crochets. So 1 more in that end. Then each space down the row will get 1 double crochet in the back loop. And each middle piece will get a double, treble, chain 2, treble, double. And then following 1 double crochet in each space back up, back loop only. In the last space, you put 2 double crochets. That's it, guys. That's the continuing pattern that we just repeat, row after row after row, until you've reached the length that you want your shawl to be. That's it. Pretty easy, which is fantastic. And it's beautiful. And it's comfortable. It's just the perfect shawl, especially for a beginner. If you're not counting, if you don't want to count, it's pretty easy to realize if you've missed one, because if I stopped right there and I go to turn, I'd be like, why is my shawl going downwards and not staying flat? That doesn't make any sense. I don't understand why it's doing that. So you could always just turn and realize, uh-oh, it's going down. Or you could also keep count and be like, okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You're gonna have to separate those sometimes to really see them. So there's 11, and I have 1, so above this space right here, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I do not have the same number. I didn't put one there. There we go. And we put 2 in that last space. Okay, so keep in mind to count if you are not one to easily identify that, oh, I turned too soon. Otherwise, if you just follow your work, just eyeball it, see that it is staying in line. This is one of those projects that you can easily do without counting. Well, very cool. So that is how you make your shawl. You just keep repeating that process over and over until you've reached the length that you desire. Now let's make the fringe. So grab your ruler or your tape measure or whatever you are going to use. You are going to cut your fringe yarn. So this is my fringe yarn. 12 inches long. So I start there. Go 12. Perfect. Cut that off. Great. So each fringe will have 20 12-inch long strands. Okay? So go ahead and cut 20 12-inch long strands and put it into one row. Cut another 20 12-inch long strands and put it in a second row. And another 20 12-inch strands in a third row. We want 3 different sections because I'm going to put a fringe on each one of the 3 points. Okay? So go ahead and cut, and I will see you as soon as you're done cutting. Alright, so let's just say that you have reached the end of your shawl. You're super happy with it. What do? Come to the very end. You cut off just a small tail. You're going to take your yarn. You're going to yarn over, pull it through, pull it tight, and you've just made a knot. Pretty awesome, right? You're going to take that fringe that we just made. I'm just using one for an example, but you'll have 3 piles, 1 pile for each corner of your shawl. So you take your yarn, put your finger in about the middle of it. You can put side by side, measure them up, make sure that they seem pretty even. Take your yarn hook. I'm going to go in this corner right here, the bottom of the shawl. So coming from the back forward, grab your yarn, pull it through that hole, give it a good gap, and then I'm going to remove the yarn hook. Going to put my fingers right in there and grab that yarn and just pull it through. And when you pull that yarn, it tightens the knot like that. And then I will go and I will tighten each string until it's exactly how I want it. If you find that it's not exactly how you want it, it's a little sloppy, just put your hook. So I just put my hook in the bottom, followed it up, go to the back where it'll look like this, and you can pull these sides just like that, and it loosens it. And then you can go back and be like, okay, I really want to position this maybe like that, more, pull it however you need. But that is how you put the fringe on. And it looks absolutely stunning when it's all complete. Okay, now let's go ahead and put in those ends. So when you weave in your ends, I will go from the back forward, and you usually want to follow the color. I don't have much of a color change, but obviously in my yarn there's a lot of color change, and I don't want to put one color over the other because then it'll stick out like a sore thumb. But you will just weave in that end back and forth. So forward, next space, pull it backwards, next space,
pull it forwards, all right, until it's gotten to either a spot where you need it to stop, or it's gotten to a spot where you can't weave it in and out anymore. I like to cut my yarn the length of the next space. Okay, so I'm going to cut it right there. So there's just enough of a nub of a piece of yarn to lay flat over the next stitch. I'm going to grab my fabric glue. Now this is super important. You need to make sure that you buy fabric glue that says it'll dry clear and flexibly. The flexible is super important. I have used fabric glue that did not dry flexibly, and the glue dried rock hard and it just ruined the project. So just be mindful of that. You only need the smallest little bit, and then you lay it flat over the work and just make sure it is secure and not going anywhere. Now fabric glue is machine wash and dryable, meaning once it dries, that is staying put. It's not going to come out even if you put it in the washer and dryer. It's not separating at all, okay? But when it dries, it'll also dry flexible, it'll dry clear so you don't even see it. It is perfect. I love this stuff. So let's go ahead and get rid of this tail right here. I'm going to go in this direction because the color matches a little better. If I went in that direction, it'd be like, whoa, okay, there's a different color over there. What's it doing over here? And just weaving in and out, back and forth. All right, here we go. So, then grab our scissors. I'm going to bring the yarn back up this way so it matches the color. There's a color match. Okay, take your fabric glue, just a little bit. Looks like my glue is kind of exploding out of the top a little. Cap that. And just kind of pat it forward. There we go. That's it. And then it looks perfect. It looks complete. And it's beautiful. Oh my gosh, guys, it's so pretty. Yay. Love it. Can't wait for you to do this. So what did you think? I hope you had a lot of fun learning this shawl tutorial. I found that it was very easy and it could make up really quickly, which I was very grateful for because I had to make this shawl very quickly to have it done in time for this tutorial. But I also found that this project was one that you could slow down and take it easy. Pull this project out while watching a movie or a TV show and really relax and de-stress and just go. You don't have to worry about counting. You don't have to worry about following any particular pattern other than just knowing, hey, I gotta do a double crochet back loop only, add 2 on the ends, and in the middle it's just double, treble, chain 2, treble, double. It's the same thing over and over and over, and once you have repeated yourself enough times, you just don't even think about it anymore. And sometimes those projects are so great. So I really hope that you enjoyed learning this crochet pattern. I hope that you had fun. If you did, please give me a like. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I have so many videos to show you, and they include how-to videos, how to sell your crochet, how to manipulate a pattern to make it more custom to you, and
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tiffany Hansen. Thank you so much for joining me today. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make my Sugar Plum Fairy blanket. If at any point in this video you do like what you see, please push that thumbs up button. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to my channel and click the bell. That way you don't miss any of my videos. I try to release a brand new video every single Friday covering a wide range of different types of crochet projects, and you're not going to want to miss out. At the very end of the video, so you're going to want to stick around, I actually listed out all of the possible different types of blanket measurements that you could possibly make this blanket in, and I will include an approximate foundation row chain count along with approximately how many rows you will need to make. And here's the kicker, I'm also going to include approximately how many skeins of yarn or how many yards of yarn you will need to make that blanket. I figured that out for you for this blanket, and I'm really excited. So if you are curious at all about any of that information, you're going to want to stick around to the very end of the video where I have made a chart that I'm going to stick on the end. And if you want, you can pause the video and find the blanket size you want to make, gather up all of your information, all of your materials, and be ready to go. All right. I will also include a link in the notes section exactly how to follow the pattern for this blanket if you choose to make this blanket in the future, as well as I will include a link so you can print out the chart and have it forever if you want. So let's go ahead and dive right into what materials you're going to need to make this Sugar Plum Fairy blanket. The materials that you're going to need to make the Sugar Plum Fairy blanket will include a size 5 weight bulky or chunky yarn. In the case of this particular blanket, I used I Love This Chunky yarn in the color Heathered French Lilac. And that gave me that beautiful purple color that I made this blanket in, but really you can use whatever color that you like as long as it is the size 5 bulky chunky weight yarn, okay? You're going to need a crochet hook, size P or 11.5mm crochet hook, and a pair of scissors. That's all you're going to need to make this blanket. If you are curious how many yards of yarn you will need, meters of yarn, ounces of yarn you will need to complete your project, stay tuned to the very end of the video where I have made a chart that includes all the many different blanket sizes, how many yards of yarn you will need to complete that project, how many meters and how many ounces of yarn you will need. I also will include how many chains are in the foundation row, approximately, and approximately how many rows you will need to make your desired blanket size. It's so great.
No matter what kind of butt you got, Huggies has more curves and an outstanding active fit. We got you, baby.
For work, play, and every day, upgrade with over 1 million parts and accessories and bring your truck to life. Real
Sorry
truck.
about that.
Okay, so once you've gathered all of your materials, let's go ahead and start making this amazing Sugar Plum Fairy blanket.
Keep that one
We
on the middle.
begin with
Sorry.
our yarn and our crochet hook, starting our project with a long enough tail to weave in the end at the end of the project. So I give myself about 3-4 inches, and then I create my slip knot, attach my crochet hook,
How long have you been knitting
and
and
we are ready
crocheting?
to go. Okay, this pattern is worked in a multiple of 2.
Please
So
share with
I'm
me.
going to just be making a small example swatch for you. That way I'm not making an entire blanket and getting through everything. I'm going much faster so I can show you what to do quicker. In my example swatch, I'm going to chain 20 chains. Okay, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 19 and 20. Great. Okay, so once you've reached the last chain for your desired blanket, here's what you're going to do. You're going to half double crochet in the 3rd chain from your crochet hook. So looking at our chains, remember the loop on our crochet hook does not count as a chain. So 1, 2, 3. Going to half double crochet in that 3rd chain. Perfect. And then you're going to make 1 half double crochet in each chain all the way across to the very end, and that is your row 1. You should end row 1 with 2 less stitches than were in your foundation row. So for me, I chained 20, but in my row 1, I should only have 18 half double crochets. I used those other 2 chains as my turning chain to get me onto row 1. Okay, so go ahead and continue putting 1 half double crochet in each chain all the way across row 1, and I will meet you at the end of row 1 to show you what to do next. 17 and 18. Great. Okay, once you have made your very last stitch for your row 1, we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, turn our work, and now we are all set up to do row 2. The chain 2 does not count as a stitch, okay? We are not counting the chain 2 as a stitch. In the first stitch space right here, we're making 1 half double crochet. So I'll actually take my pinky and kind of pull back the chain 2, making room for everything.
Did you know that half of your
There we go.
strength is in your pinky?
Half double crochet in that very first stitch. And now we're set up for our pattern. The pattern we are using for this particular blanket is a half double crochet cross stitch. Here's how it's done. We're going to skip this next stitch in the second stitch or third, so 1, 2, 3. So skip one, next one, make a half double crochet. Perfect. All right. Now you're going to half double crochet in that skipped stitch. So yarn over, insert your crochet hook into that skipped stitch,
Okay.
yarn over, pull through, and really extend it, like pull that yarn up, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Let it stay loose. Try not to make your stitches too tight here. We want our stitches loose so the blanket is much more comfortable. And that is your first half double crochet cross stitch. Let's do that again. Skip the next
See how fast?
stitch,
See
half
this
double
needle
crochet
is?
in the following
It's
stitch,
because she's using a really thick yarn. She's either going to make a quilt, a
okay,
comforter, a sweater,
and
or
then
something
half double
warm to wear.
crochet in that skipped stitch.
The skip
So yarn
stitch is what
over,
makes the hole.
insert our crochet hook into that skipped stitch,
So I'm going
yarn
backwards.
over,
Wrap it
pull
around.
through, and then I'll actually keep pulling a little bit,
You gotta
allowing
tug at it
some
a little bit
slack there,
so it can
allowing it
stay
to
in its
be
place.
a little more loose, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops. That is what the stitch will look like. Okay?
That's a beautiful stitch.
Now the only thing that might get you is the stitch that we started with might look like a regular stitch, but what you don't see,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
because we made this half double crochet stitch over the first, is this stitch right here already has that first half double crochet stitch in it. So be mindful of where your stitches are. That way you don't accidentally use a stitch 2 times. Okay? All right, so we're going to continue this half double crochet cross stitch pattern all the way down row 2. And I will meet you at the end of row 2 to show you how we move on.
U by Kotex balance pads have a raised center that absorbs 2 times faster. Even faster than you change your mind about your friend's ex.
There was just something about Josh that was so...
We're dating again.
good.
U by Kotex, a pad that rises to the occasion.
Okay. I need a job that rises to the occasion. I can edit. Over 8 years, I have another YouTube channel, 18,000 subscribers. But I
Okay,
keep
last
seeing it
3 stitches here.
monetized.
Okay, so
People are
skip
not
one,
that heavy
next
to
one, half double
get
crochet,
well, and I hope you stay strong. Motivation
half
shirts.
double crochet in the skipped stitch.
So that's why I
You
started
should be
doing
left
other
with
channels,
just 1 stitch
exploring other avenues,
left over remaining. You're going to
stitches
half double
moving.
crochet in that last stitch. And that's it. You've just closed off row 2. Row 2 is done. Okay, to move on to row 3, you're going to chain 2. And this is the repeat pattern for every single row here on out to finish your
Yes,
project.
there's a lot of
After
repeating.
every single row, you will chain 2. 1,
But it's all worth it in the end.
2. You will turn your work.
You will turn your
Every
work.
single row, you will put 1 half double crochet in the very first stitch. Great. And then continue on doing the half double crochet cross stitch pattern for every single row. It's just repeat, repeat, repeat. Pretty easy. So yarn over, gonna skip one, next one, half double crochet,
That's why.
And then half double crochet in the skipped stitch.
When you make people gifts,
Skip one, next one, half double crochet, and half double crochet in the skipped stitch.
Do
Now
not stand.
again, the longer you make this
I'm
blanket,
gonna pause this for a second. Do not, and I repeat, do not spend months on covers, sheets, scarves, dresses, or anything of the sort when you know the person that you're gonna give it to them, if you're gonna give it to, is not really gonna appreciate it. You're much better off spending all that time knitting a comforter or a quilt and giving it to a homeless person or a person in need, and they will appreciate it 1,000-fold more than that person, that inconsiderate, unappreciated fool would ever appreciate. There's my 2 cents. That's 2 cents.
you're going to have to be mindful to pay attention to your stitches and not use a stitch 2 times. This is something that happened to me a couple times, and so when you reach the very end of your blanket, if you're left with 2 stitches, you know that you accidentally skipped or added too many stitches here in the rest of the work. Because when you get to the very end of your work, you should be left with only 1 stitch remaining, and that 1 stitch is where you put your last half double crochet.
And this is where my more 2 cents comes in. This is why I love crocheting, because if you make a mistake, it is nothing. All you have to do is pull the string to unravel. You go back to where you messed up, you start all over again. You don't have to be rocket scientist, and don't make things overly complicated. My brother used to have a saying, he'd say, kiss. Keep it simple, silly.
Before you chain 2 to turn. Okay? So it's a good way to gauge your work. This is one of those blanket projects that after you get the rhythm, you really don't need to count every single row, which is amazing, making this blanket one of those really nice, relaxing blankets that you can just go. But I do highly suggest that every couple of rows, you give it a count. And the count you are looking for is going to be the same number of stitches that were in row 1. So for example, my row 1 had 18 stitches. So my row 2, my row 3, my row 4 should all have 18 stitches. Okay?
If you do it right, you don't have to
And
count.
that just counting every few rows
You're looking
will
for the
help
V
you
at the top
to
of every
eliminate getting through the blanket
to
and
make the next
halfway
stitch.
through you're noticing that your blanket is starting to angle or be off,
If
and
it gets
it helps
smaller,
you to
and it gets to the end and it looks a little smaller,
eliminate
then you know
which
that you
rows
probably stitch
were
it
on
completely.
target and
You
where you
can go
can
back
see you got off
and
target.
look to see where exactly
Okay,
it's juicy.
it really helps. So last stitch,
Pull
1
it to
half double
them,
crochet, row
pull it
3 is
out,
done,
and then put it back
and
down.
that's it.
Take it back.
Now how do you end
Make your
the
correction.
row? Last row of the blanket is your choice. You can choose to just continue this half double crochet cross stitch
Put some
pattern
to the flat
all the way
sleeve,
up to the last row
or you
and
can
then
make
tie
ruffles
off
too.
your yarn and be finished. Or you can choose to have your very last row be a row of half double crochets, just 1 half double crochet stitch in each stitch if you want, but honestly, you really can't see that this is just a row of half double crochets pronounced enough to try to create symmetry. So I'm going to let that be up to you on what you want to do for row or for your very last row.
Where
Okay?
did you
I
learn how to
do,
knit?
however, want to show you if you're working
Where
this
did you learn
blanket
how to
and you
crochet?
run out of yarn, what you can do. Yep.
When did you learn how to crochet? Who taught you? I'm just curious. I personally learned from a man. I was in the hospital as a stay, and he was there, and he started knitting. I mean crocheting. And I just sat one day next to him and I just stared at him. And then he just one day he opened up and he started showing me how to do it. It's a skill I've never lost. It's a skill I have developed since I was 12 years old. So whatever your passion is, stay with it. You will make the on and off throughout life because that's the way life happens. Your plans and then life happens, right? That's what you say. And back to the show, guys and gals.
I am going to be showing you how to do the invisible knot trick.
Oh, more commercials.
We love those commercials.
We
Oh,
stand an army of burdened
Of course,
soldiers waiting for the
man
train.
happen.
Our feet teeter onto the restricted yellow paint, contorting our bodies into cranes to look past.
Trick. If you have already done the invisible knot, you already know how to do the invisible knot, you can skip this little section, but it's really fast. Okay, so let's say I'm going to cut my yarn off right here. There we go. Okay, let's say you're crocheting, and you're getting to the end of your skein. You're running out of yarn, and you need to attach more yarn to keep going with your project. Here's what you're going to do. Take the yarn that you're running out of that's attached to your project.
You can either just tie it, double tie it from end to end, or you can put this tail towards the end, gradually shrink, also put it with the exact same point where you're holding this one in the back. Hold it firmly because for the first couple of hand gestures or movements, it won't feel stable. But after you get the next two stitches done, it should be locked in place. You can then later on go back and just double tie it yourself again just for security purposes. You don't want anybody to turn anything to you. You want nothing but great reviews. Raise. Alright, back to the time.
Project and stretch it out that direction. Take your brand new skein of yarn that you want to add to your project. Have that yarn go in that direction. Butt them up against each other. Take this side, 2 fingers, wrap them around your 2 fingers. Take the little tail here, wrap it over between your 2 fingers and have it come out facing towards your fingernails. Pull, and it'll create a little knot on this side. Let's make our way over to the other section. 2 fingers, wrap around your 2 fingers. Little tail, take the tail over between your fingers and have it poke out towards your fingernails. Take that side, pull so it forms a little knot there. You got a knot here, you got a knot here. Take this yarn, pull, and this new pink, the
Sorry,
blue color.
anything donated today will go to Mrs. Tara, who's the leader of the Hopeful New York's Knitting Club. We meet once a month, and everything they make is donated to Helping Hands, Gifted Hands, Women in Shelters, Family in Shelters, Homeless Single Men. Yes, so that's why I love volunteering my time there. You don't necessarily have to be there, but the time that you spend making the items is donated time. So may God bless you just for doing it. May God bless you for making anybody a gift just to make it. Yeah. So here we go. Back to the show.
Colors that I used were also a Bernat Pipsqueak yarn, and I used Funny Bunny print, and that was the multicolored border for the blanket, and baby blue. All right, so that was the blue blanket. I used 4 skeins of each color to make this blanket. I used approximately 808 yards for the whole blanket, including the border, 736 meters, 28 ounces, or 800 grams of yarn total to make this entire blanket. Okay, so hopefully that'll help you out. Again, if you want to make any adjustments to this blanket, making it bigger, using a different sized yarn even, check out the video that I mentioned in the beginning of this video that I made showing you how to make adjustments to your blanket to know how many chains you're going to need in your foundation row to make your desired dimensions of your blanket. Okay, I will also put a link to that video in both the description section and comment section below this video for easy access. Just click on that link. All right, so the crochet hook that I used for this blanket was an I-9 or 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. I also used a pair of scissors, tapestry needle or yarn needle to weave in all of those ends, and optional is a measuring tape, just because it is a little bit more difficult to count your rows in this blanket because this yarn is so highly textured. Sometimes it's just more helpful to follow along with your dimensions and see, have I reached my dimension yet or am I still going? All right, so once you have all of your materials, that's all you really need for this blanket. Let's go ahead and dive right into actually making it. All right, so let's begin with the color that you want to use on the inside rectangle of the blanket. That can be whatever color you choose, even if you wanted to flip-flop the blanket and start with the multicolor and border it with the solid. Have fun with it, make it your own. So we're gonna start with a tail long enough for us to weave in our ends at the end of the project, create our slip knot, attach our crochet hook, and we are ready to begin. So as you probably have already noticed, this yarn is extremely textured. So you're going to want to make all of your stitches loose. If you have a trouble with tension and making your stitches too tight, you may want to go up a crochet hook size or two to help aid you in making sure that those stitches are loose. Because if your stitches are too tight, you're not going to be able to see the stitches. It's going to be very, very difficult. For this example, this tutorial, I'm going to make a small swatch section of what I am doing so I can explain the instructions faster for you and get you through this blanket. I will give you the instructions on how many stitches I have going on, how many rows I have going on, so you can follow along. What is great is this blanket does not have a multiple stitch count requirement. It can be worked in any number of stitches, which is awesome. So what that means is if you want to adjust the size of this blanket, just pull out your measuring tape and chain until you've met blanket dimension. Awesome, right? Or if you want to account for your border that we are going to be putting around the entire blanket, then just go ahead and make your foundation row chain a little bit shorter than your blanket requirement, and then make sure that as you are making the border around your blanket, you keep adding row after row after row of your border until you have met that blanket dimension. Got it? Cool. All right, so for the blanket that I made, the inner rectangle, I chained 62 chains. So if you want to go ahead and start making 62 chains, go for it. I, again, am going to make a smaller swatch section to get through this pattern faster. So I'm only going to chain 20 chains. 1, 2, 3. Again, make sure your stitches are loose. 4. What I mean by that, stretch out that chain. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, 6. 7. And how I can count, how I go about counting is you got to feel it. You got to feel it, guys. You'll be able to feel it. So where's a hole? 1. There's a hole. 2. There's a hole. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can feel it. So a lot of this project is going to be off of feel. 8, 9, 10, 11, 18, 19, and 20. Great. Row 1. We are going to half double crochet in the 3rd chain from our crochet hook. So feel for those chains. 1, 2, 3. All right, so yarn over, insert your crochet hook into that 3rd chain, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through all the loops on your crochet hook, Perfect. All right, so the skipped chain 2 that we missed or skipped over does not count as a stitch. Okay, so when you finish row 1, we are making 1 half double crochet stitch in each stitch or each chain all the way across. You will be 2 less stitches than you chained. So if you chained 62, then you should have a total of 60 stitches in row 1. Okay, I chained 20, so I will have a total of 18 stitches in my row 1. Okay, so the number of stitches that are in row 1 are 2 less than how many chains that you chained. This is super important because this blanket is highly textured and it is difficult to see the stitches. It's difficult to see the chains. We have got to count. The pros and cons of working with pipsqueak yarn or highly textured yarn is con, it is hard to see the stitches, but pro, if you need to add a stitch somewhere to stay on count, you cannot see where you added a stitch. So it's easy to make adjustments, it's easy to make corrections, and you won't be able to see it. If you go about your blanket not counting, believe me, your blanket is either going to expand or it's going to decrease inward. And if it starts doing that, there's no recovery. So you're going to want to count every single stitch of every single row to make sure you're staying on count. It will become repetitive, it will become rhythmic, and you will just fall right into it. But you will notice at the end of a row, if you're 1 stitch short, you just throw a stitch in there and then you're back on track and nobody will know that you just added a stitch somewhere.
Nope.
No one will know. So how I work my stitches is really a lot of feel. And I will poke my finger through a lot of stitches. That's another reason why working loose stitches is such a big deal. So that was my first stitch chain. So next, right there, I will add a half double crochet. Row 1, we're just making 1 half double crochet in each chain all the way across. Okay, so next one over. There. And again, counting stitches. If you lose count of your stitches, here's what I do. Okay. If I lost count of where I was at, I'll take my work and I will stretch it, and then I'll start looking for those holes and poking my finger through holes. So here was the chain 2, my first half double crochet, so 1, then 2, 3, 4. So I have just accomplished 4 half double crochets and I'm moving on. So here is where my stitch was. Next one over, half double crochet. Next one over, half double crochet. Now this is also a blanket that if you only pick up one of the yarns, you don't quite hit both yarns or go under both loops of the stitch. If you do it once or twice or even throughout, this blanket is not going to pick up working a front loop only or back loop only. It's too textured. It won't pick that detail up. Okay, so if you end up just picking up one loop of the
This is Bronx River Alliance, a volunteerism. They're an organization affiliated with New York City Parks, in partnership with Parks, and they take care of the Bronx River. It comes right down the ends to center. You do a good job.
stitch, it's okay. It's a very forgiving material. It's just a little tricky to get through. Again, it's going to take a lot of paying attention and a lot of counting of your stitches. And I know I'm doing a lot of talking, but believe me, as soon as I pause this video, I'm going to be counting to make sure I stay on track. 17.
Smush it, butt, mushy cushy tushy butt, eggy butt, drop it on dad's heady butt, stinky butts, stop, put a Huggies on that butt. No matter what kind of butt you got, we got you, baby.
To me, a blank page is the window to adventure. Once there's that click of inspiration, I'm transported to my happy place. Because my favorite color is every color, and my mood is always joy.
17 and 18. Okay, so that's where I want to be. I want to be at 18 stitches across here. To move on to row 2, we will chain 1. Chain 1. We will turn our work. And for the rest of this project, guys, the rest of this inner rectangle, we're just making 1 half double crochet stitch in each stitch all the way across. That's all we are doing. We're going to repeat this chain 1, turn our work, half double crochet stitch in each stitch all the way across through the end of row 84. If you're working the same exact dimension, same exact blanket that I'm working, your inner work should measure 23 inches wide by 39 inches long, if you are following the exact pattern that I am doing. Here, let me get through row 2 and then I'll show you how I counted my rows to identify that I made it to 84 rows. Poke your finger through the stitches so that way you can see where your stitches are. And then here is how I work my stitches. I don't try to find the loops on the top. I just work between stitches. So I'll yarn over, insert my crochet hook between those 2 stitches where I had my finger, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Okay, so next stitch, yarn over, inserting my crochet hook between those stitches where my finger was, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. So there's 2. Again, remember, you gotta count. Okay, so that was that one. And then the next one is right here. Insert my crochet hook where my finger was between the stitches. There we go. Okay. Next stitch, 3, 4, 5, 6, 17, and oh, great, 18. That's right where I want to be. Perfect. Okay, you might see a little bit of hangover here. That's fine. Ignore it. It's going to disappear, especially when we throw the border on it, okay? This is what we're looking at the end of row 2. Really solid, right? If you take your work and pull it apart, you start to see the holes a little bit better. How I counted my rows is I stretched it out, and then I was like, okay, here's a hole. There's 1, 2, and then 3, 4, and then I'd stop. Then 5, 6, 7, 8, and I was able to do that. If you want to, you can also use a row marker, stitch marker, and put, or even like a small scrap yarn or something, and put a scrap yarn or a stitch marker in the side of each row, and then count those as you work up. That's another helpful little tip for you. But that's all we are doing, guys. We reach the end of the row, we chain 1, we turn our work, and then we just make 1 half double crochet stitch in each stitch all the way across. And again, I poke my finger between the stitches and work in between the stitches. Now, if you are one of those people that are super concerned about holes for baby's fingers and baby's toes, and my process, my tip here of sticking a finger between the stitches is concerning you at all, I am really working to get my finger in there, okay? And when the project is finished, this work is very solid looking. So if a baby is going to get a finger in there, they're going to get a finger in any project, okay? It's not one of those projects where it's easy to get a finger in there unless you really push your finger in there with purpose, okay? So go ahead.
All right, I just thought of a very helpful tip that might help you out in the process of you making your blanket. So when you run out of yarn, let's say you used up a whole skein of yarn, how I transition into my next skein, my join, to connect more yarn to keep going in the project. So let's just say, right there, okay. Let's say that you're crocheting and you're running out of yarn and you are like, okay, I need to attach a new skein of yarn to the project. Here's what I do. I will take the yarn that is attached to my project and I'll have it run that direction. I'll take my new skein of yarn and I'll have that yarn go that direction. I will bud them together. Then I'll take these two yarns here. I will wrap them around 2 fingers. So there's that little tail hanging out there. I'll take that tail. I'll go over, so over the yarns, between my fingers, and poke it through so that it is, the little nub is poking out towards my fingernails. Then I'll grab that little tail, remove my fingers, pull the yarn, and it creates a knot on that side of the work. Now let's go to the other side. So I've got my 2 strands of yarn, 2 fingers, wrap both strands around both fingers, take the little tail, go over, between the fingers, and through. Oop. Let's do that again. Going over, between my fingers and through, so the tail is poking out towards your fingernail. Grab the tail, remove your fingers, pull the yarn, so now you have a knot here and a knot here. Grab this yarn, and pull. Now the friction of the pipsqueak yarn will come into play, but it will allow you to pull those 2 knots together. Then grab your scissors, take this tail, cut it fairly close to the knot, and then same thing with this tail, cutting it fairly close to the knot. And now you have a very strong knot that isn't going anywhere, and it will completely camouflage in your work. So as you...
Or you could just double knot it and continue. And players just sit down and just you put it in the bud later. But looking at her yarn is fuzzy, so you might just interweave it into the final product, so nobody will be able to see it. If you can tell, then you should cut it. If you finish it, interweave it, nobody should be able to tell. Not even you can do it properly. I mean, they'll know, but you won't know. You can look at it and know. Just be very, very careful. I don't want anybody coming back with a product that they can't have done themselves. That's super embarrassing.
continue to crochet your blanket. So there's the join right there. You continue on. And doing that finger trick here. Okay, now let's go back and look at that join. There's the join. Can you see it? There's the knot. And really I can see it more clearly because I just did it and I saw the little tiny bump there. But it camouflages right in. You can even push it in between stitches if you want to. But that's it. So now you don't have anything to come back and address at the end of the project. You don't have to waste yarn by switching colors at the end of a row. You can just keep going and keep moving on, and it's done. It's called the invisible knot join. I hope you like it. You can use it if you would like. If you have your own method that you like better, feel free to use that. I just thought that could be really helpful. All right, so continue on, and I will meet you at the end of this inner body section to show you how to do the border. All right, so let's pretend that we have just finished our blanket. Last stitch here. This is what we're looking at.
Let's go ahead and cut off enough of a tail for us to weave in our ends at the end of the project. Then we will yarn over, pull that yarn through the loop on our crochet hook, pull tight to seal off or tie off that project, and let's move on to the border. So we're going to go ahead and flip our blanket so that way the tail that we just finished is on the same side we're about to begin. Let's grab the color that you're going to use for your border. Start with a long enough tail for us to weave in our ends at the end of the project. Slip knot, attaching our crochet hook. Perfect. Okay, so to attach the new color of yarn, we're going to slip stitch into the first chain here, or first stitch. So slip stitch. And that just attaches the new color. Then we will chain one. And for row 1 of our border, we're going to make 1 half double crochet stitch in each stitch all the way across like we did before. So even in that first stitch I just slip stitched into, I'm going to make a half double crochet stitch. And then in the next stitch, half double crochet. Okay, go ahead and make your way all the way across the top of the blanket, and I will meet you in corner number 1 to show you how we will work that corner and then move on to working the side of our blanket. All right, coming upon the very end of the top.
When you're knitting the fuzzies, at first it's kind of annoying because you cannot see the V shape that you're coming for at the top. But after a while, sometimes you can actually just tell. You can feel it. You can listen. You can feel the top row, and you can feel the V shape, and you can just go, before you know it, just doing that same speed as you would any longer.
Top of our blanket, let's go ahead and count our stitches here. Remember that first chain 1 does not count as a stitch. Going for that first half double crochet, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, great. I have one more stitch to make for my 18 stitch count. And honestly, that 18th stitch, so 18 will be the last stitch of the top. It's also in the corner. So how we work our corners. After you make the last stitch for the top here, we will chain 2, 1, 2, and then make another half double crochet stitch in that same stitch space. But now, so half double crochet, but now we are set up to start working the side of our blanket. Usually I will make 3 stitches in the corner, but what I realized is the texture of this stitch, the texture of this yarn made it really difficult to see those stitches to make sure that I was following along in that corner. So by chaining 2, I have a big enough hole here where I can identify, boom, that is my corner. Okay? For the side of our work, we are going to work 1 half double crochet stitch on the side of each row. So again, we're going to keep working that finger method. So next row down is right here, working a half double crochet stitch. Okay, next row down, half double crochet stitch, and just working 1 half double crochet stitch in each, or in the side of each row. There we go. If you want to count, just keep in mind how many rows we made. If you're making the same blanket that I did, you'll have a total of 84 rows. So you will make a total of 84 half double crochet stitches along the side, starting with that first half double crochet stitch after the chain 2. So it'd be 1.
Once you make the chain as long as you want the blanket, so if you make the first chain 84 stitches, or single stitches, that's it. That's the length of the blanket. The only variance is the tightness in the material of the yarn itself. But pretty much, if you count 84 and you stay going across and double your stitches, you'll know. You can see it, you can feel it, you come across it. It's easy to fix, but you know. And it'll end up perfect. Blankets, scarves, anything square, easy stencil. Don't overcomplicate it. You can overcomplicate it. At least maybe from the mental style. Okay, the mental style. Most of us have. Anyway, really.
2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, going on the bottom of that stitch here, looking at the next row, half double crochet. You can do this. Just pay attention, use the finger trick if you need to, pull your work, stretch it out. If you want to stretch it out to see where the holes are, to see where the stitches are, see where the rows are, I've done that too to help me out and guide you. All right, continue along the side and I'll meet you in corner number 2 to show you how we will work corner number 2 and the bottom of our blanket.
Building a home for the people who are worth it. For work and play and every day. Upgrade with over 1 million parts and accessories and bring your truck.
All right, once we have reached the second corner of our blanket here, you do not want to put anything in the foundation row chain. Okay, so pretend that doesn't exist. We're just going to go into row 1. You would easily find this by if you were going 84 rows, you would have counted 84 half double crochets at this point. Another good reason to count. Okay, after we make that last half double crochet stitch, we will chain 2 to get around this corner. 1, 2. Turn our blanket so we are working along the bottom. And then again, working between the stitches, working in that same stitch space, same corner that we already put a half double crochet stitch, making another half double crochet stitch there. And then we're all lined up to work the bottom. So between stitches, next stitch, next stitch. And remember, we made a total of 62 chains, so we have a total of 60 stitches across if you would like to count. Last stitch and then entering corner number 3. So for corner number 3 we will chain 2, 1, 2 and half double crochet in that same exact stitch, turning our work. So now we are working side number 2, or the third side, the last side of our blanket. And again, we're making 1 half double crochet stitch in the side of each row. So using our fingers to identify where the rows are and just working 1 half double crochet stitch in the side of that row. Okay, go ahead and continue on. And I will meet you at the 4th corner here to show you how we close row number 1 of our border, get onto row 2, and then I think you'll be good to be off and running to finishing off this border. Okay, great. We have just reached corner number 4. I'm going to make my first half double crochet stitch right there. What you will notice is in corner number 4, there is already a half double crochet stitch in that corner before we even reach it. And that half double crochet stitch was actually the very first half double crochet stitch for this entire round 1 of the border. So when it comes to the 4th corner for round 1, all we have to do to satisfy the requirements of this corner is half double crochet, chain 2, and then slip stitch into the top of that first half double crochet stitch, or really just put your finger there and slip stitch into that first stitch to close round 1. And here is what we are looking at.
What you will notice for the rest of the border is that we are going to be making 1 half double crochet stitch in each stitch all the way around. The sides are going to be significantly easier to work now because there's already a stitch that we can identify and work with. Every single corner we can identify because it has that chain 2, so it'll be very easy for us to figure out, oh, I've reached the corner, because you will have reached that chain 2 section. In each chain 2 section, you are going to half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet. The only corner that will ever change, so you're going to repeat that row after row after row, the only corner that will ever change is corner number 4, because the yarn that we are adding to the project is going to continue to go straight this direction, but the corner of this blanket is going to angle this direction as we work. So there's going to be this gap space here where we are going to have to add a stitch every row that we grow, because every row we're going to continue to expand this way, which means there's going to be a bigger gap here before we can join our yarn and move on to the next row. Let me work 3 rows with you, give you an idea of how this will look, how it'll work, and then I will explain more of how you will add or continue this corner row after row after row in the pattern. But I think that if I explain 3 more rows, you'll pick up what I'm trying to get at here. To begin every round for our border, we're going to chain 1. Then we're going to find the first half double crochet stitch. It's right there. We're going to make 1 half double crochet stitch in each stitch across. So let's go ahead and continue, and I'll meet you in the first corner to show you us working that, and we're just kind of do a speed round here. Go really fast to get to each corner.
No matter what kind of butt you got, Huggies has more curves and an outstanding active fit. We got you, baby.
Every Halloween, she copies me. But at Michael's, we can be.
Okay, coming upon corner number 1, I just reached my chain 2 section. So in that chain 2 section, I'm going to half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet. Perfect. And then we rotate and start working along this side. Again, continuing to make 1 half double crochet stitch in every stitch all the way across. I will meet you in corner number 2 to work that, and then we'll jump to corner number 3. All right, corner number 2, the chain 2 section here, half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet, and then we rotate and start working this side of the blanket border, continuing the 1 half double crochet stitch in each stitch across. Okay, so we have just reached corner number 3, half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet. Corner 1, 2, and 3 are all worked the exact same. We rotated our work. Last side of the blanket, it's corner number 4 that's always different. So let's go ahead and make 1 half double crochet stitch all the way up to corner number 4, and then I will meet you at corner number 4 to show you how we work that. All right, we have just made it to corner number 4. I've just reached that chain 2 here. So in that chain 2 section, I'm doing the half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet. There we go. Turning my work, so I am now facing this side of the blanket, and now I just slip stitch into the very first stitch of round 2 here. So this was round 2. Let's move on to round 3 of our border. So we'll chain 1, half double crochet in that same stitch that we just slip stitched into, and then make 1 half double crochet stitch in each stitch all the way across. I will meet you in corner number 1 to work that with you. All right, we've reached corner number 1. I know this because I found the chain 2 here. Half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet. And continuing, making 1 half double crochet stitch in each stitch across the next side. Perfect, made it to corner number 2 here. I know, because chain 2, half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet. Great, made it to corner number 3, half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet. Great, and then last side of the blanket border. All right, round 3, corner 4, we're going to find that chain 2. In that chain 2, we are going to half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet, rotate our work, and we will actually make one more half double crochet stitch, because if you look to where the join is, there's actually a stitch between. So in round 3, corner 4, right after we do the half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet, we're going to make one more half double crochet stitch and then slip stitch to close round 3. Okay, and again, I'm going to have a picture example of this in the pattern for you to give you a better visual, because it is a little tricky using this yarn to see the stitches. All right, round 4, last one I'm going to do with you, because I think you'll pick up what to do after this. So round 4, chaining 1, making 1 half double crochet stitch in each stitch across. When you reach corner number 1, which you will identify by the chain 2, half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet, go ahead and continue working this entire border all the way around, finding your chain 2s. If you need to stretch out your work to do so, it's helpful. And I will meet you in corner number 4 of round 4 to show you how we work this corner. All right, so I'll see you very soon.
Buick, exceptional by design.
All right, meeting up with corner number 4 of round 4 here. So in that chain 2 section, making a half double crochet stitch, chain 2, half double crochet. And now I'm actually going to make 2 half double crochet stitches before I slip stitch to close this round. So using my finger, there's 1, and then right next to it is 1. See how there's a whole half double crochet stitch right there? 1. And then I slip stitch to close. And that is how corner number 4 will work up differently than all the other rows to finish off the work, because your join is always going to stay straight, whereas your corner is always going to go diagonal. So each round you're going to work your corner, your half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet, but then you're going to add a stitch here. So first I had 1 stitch, I just made 2. So for round 5 I would do my corner and then make 3 half double crochets. Then round 6, do my corner and make 4 half double crochets. Then corner 5, corner 6, corner 7, corner 8, and you keep growing this every single row around that you make for your border. For my blanket, I made a total of 14 rounds for my border. So I made my border really thick. If you would like to count the number of stitches are in each row, just to make sure you're staying on count, each row you will gain 2 stitches per side of your blanket because of that corner where we are adding the 2 stitches per row. Okay, so for row 1 of my blanket border, or round 1 of my blanket border, the top had the same number of stitches that were in my border. It was a total of 60. So for round 2 of my blanket border, I'd have 62. Then round 3 of my blanket border, I would have 64. And you get it. So 62, 64, 66, 68, 70, and you just grow 2 stitches each round of your blanket border. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully it's not too much information. I really hope that you give this Pipsqueak yarn a try. Even if your corners, if you're noticing that your corners are bunching up a little bit, for me, I know that this is because I ended up having tighter stitches with my border. I was working it a little quickly and my stitches were too tight. So I understand, I'm gonna let you know this right now, that the reason why my blanket edges are curling is because my stitches were too tight. If this is an issue that you have, you can always go up a crochet hook size to help you out, or just back it up and try to make looser stitches. I know that this was the issue because I made that whole blue blanket and the corners were fine. All right, so what did you think of the Snuggle Me blanket? How was it working with the Pipsqueak yarn? I know it's a little tricky. You really have to focus on the stitches. You have to count in order to make sure that you're staying on track. But it does come off a very solid blanket. It's very snuggly. It's got those baby safe features that a lot of people worry about with holes. It's a very solid pattern. But even if you want to switch out the Pipsqueak yarn and utilize a different yarn, just have fun. I hope you had fun. I hope you loved this project. I hope you had fun hanging out with me today. If you liked this project, you might also want to check out these videos right here. It's a bunch of my blanket videos, which I think you'd have a lot of fun looking through. Or also check out this video right here, which is just a recommended video for you to watch. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, crocheting with me. I always love crocheting with you. I have so much fun. I hope you have the best day, and I will see you with my next video. Bye, guys.